Good afternoon. I'm Delane Simpson. I want to call the Code Enforcement and Nuisance Board meeting to order, May 22nd, 5 p.m., City Hall Commission Chambers. Roll call, please.
Deere.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Dearbone.
Yes.
Wilder. Thomas.
Thank you. We still have a quorum. At this point in time, I'd like to swear in the staff. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but truth, so help you God. Thank you. Our last meeting was on March 27th, and need to have an approval for those minutes.
I move that we accept them as written.
I second that.
Deere. Simpson. Deere.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Dearbone.
Abstain.
Thank you. Righty. There are no pending comments or announcements that I'm aware of. Are there any? Okay. There are no parking citations, so we'll get right down to business. Code enforcement. First case number 1. Case 2017-8835. Citation 2017-104. 55.3. 1247 Stubbins Street. Owner Joseph Benjamin Harrison, in care of Derek Harrison, respondent Craig Harrison, and Brad, it's your case.
This case was brought before.
Case number 1.
Sorry?
Case number 1.
No, yes, sir. This case, as you know, has been brought before the board at prior meetings, including the January, February, and March meetings of this year. The most recent motion that was made by the board on this property at the February 2018 meeting included Mr. Harrison's cooperation with code enforcement staff to avoid any further citations or fines. Our office met with Mr. Harrison on the 22nd of March. We met with him to update us on the status of the properties, and at that time I provided Mr. Harrison a list of 3 clear and definitive items for each property to continue the exterior improvements. The items for this property were as follows: the boarded window facing Glen Lily to be replaced and or a new window installed, deadbolt and hardware installed on the front door, and the wood and frame around the front door and all front windows to be painted. Mr. Harrison agreed without exception to this list and understood that this is not a comprehensive list of all repairs that needed to be made, but only a minimum list of things that must be completed in the next 30 days to avoid further action by our office and keep improvements moving along. On the 16th of April, I sent a text message to Mr. Harrison asking for an update on the properties and the status of the repairs that we had agreed to. Mr. Harrison replied the following day that the weather looked good through the end of that weekend and he planned to install the windows and doors during that week. On the 23rd of April, I inspected the property and found that it was still in violation with none of the items on the agreed upon list had been completed. A citation was issued on that date. And posted on the property, as well as sent by first-class mail to Craig Harrison and first-class and certified mail to Derek Harrison as per legal. Compliance date listed on that was the 4th of May, which has since been postponed due to the filed appeal. The pictures you'll see on the screen that follow here are from the day that the citation was posted, and as you see, none of the items on that list or any other items really have been completed to improve the property. As of today, the case has been open for 192 days. It remains in violation with no significant positive changes having been made, and it does remain for sale. However, the price has been raised from the initial list price. These are the pictures of the property as of today, and again, those items agreed upon, as well as none of the other code enforcement violations have been rectified at the property. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Point of order, want to note that board member Dr. Drury Wilder is now present. All righty. Mr. Harrison, you present? They just swear you in, sir. Just swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
It's for sale. The 35 to 45 was at the real estate agent's opinion to raise the price, and now we're just waiting for it to sell.
That's it?
I mean, I guess yeah, that's it.
Nothing's been done since we asked you the last meeting, and nothing's been done?
I've cleaned it out. I mean, there's less stuff on the inside. I mean, there was still a bunch of junk on the inside that I've hauled off, but
Were there what?
cleared the interior out so
I'm sorry?
I've cleared the interior out so they can walk through when they look at it. So
Have you reached a decision not to do anything to the property?
well, I mean, we had an offer. Well, the list price was too low. We had a guy make an offer, and we reached that offer within 24 hours. That's why he decided to raise. It was obviously too low if you can reach it within 24 hours. But and then so I'm just waiting for it to sell, which probably be before the end of the summer.
But you didn't answer my question. You're not planning to do anything.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm planning on doing a few things. I'm still cleaning up and keeping it mowed, and I still have the door and the window on the inside of the house. That window there and the front door are on the inside of the house.
So
They've been purchased. They're just not put in.
So did you have intentions, based off the conversation you had with Brad, to do the things that were requested via what you guys talked about, or did that kind of go?
I was going to do that until we got those offers, and I thought this may go within a couple of weeks, and then this guy backed out after we raised the list price, but it was too low to begin with, and the agent agreed with that, real estate agent.
And then after that, once you realized it wasn't going to sell to this person, did you decide to go back and honor the
I still have the door in there, and I stripped the trim off the front door on the inside and on the outside of the door too. So the trim is removed. It's just ready to pull the door off and put the new door back on.
What was the original asking price? You said it was too low.
$30, I think.
I'm sorry?
$30, I think it was.
And what is it now?
$45.
And this is for uninhabitable, unlivable house?
Sure, yeah. The other house is under contract right now, and it's uninhabitable and unlivable too. Under contract to be sold. We've already signed.
Well, we'll talk about that one in
Okay.
the next time. But it was 30.
The house is fixable. An investor's going to buy it and fix it and rent it. I mean, I don't have any. I mean, that's what's going to happen. They'll come in and gut it and fix it. Someone with a crew. I mean, the interior is not that bad. It's the exterior.
That's bad. Any more comments or questions by board?
So you have the windows and the doors, they just
I have that window and that door and the front door inside the house.
You have the big window and the front door to be replaced.
Yeah, they're sitting inside the front. As soon as you walk in the door, they're sitting right there.
How long have you had that?
I've had them before he had the list of things to do. Before he gave me the list to replace, I had them before then.
Before 4/23?
Whenever he gave me that list, I had them before that. I had already purchased them. The door from the Habitat place on Adams Street and the window from a place on 31W that sells. Yeah, before 4/23, I guess.
Brad, you have anything to add?
Sure.
Okay. Any more comments or motions by the board?
I don't have any more comments.
Okay.
Even though the house, even though you have the house listed, it's still up to you to address these violations. And I remember that, I guess it was February, when we came together, and we said, if you'll list these and make improvements, and I think this board was extremely lenient at that point in time.
I disagree. This board hasn't been lenient with me at all. This board was lenient with Joe Harrison, who the previous owner was, who was out of compliance for years, but I didn't get ownership of these houses until August.
So do we have?
So less than 6 months.
Excuse me, do we have a list of the citations from February? Were there any citations issued on this property in February? Do you have any idea, Tabitha?
It was February. Was it January maybe, Brad?
Bear with me one moment here.
I thought we put this off.
No, I think the last motion was to uphold the citation and waive the fine from the previous appeals
That's right.
for the other two appeals.
Waive the fine.
Correct.
That's correct. Okay.
And one other thing, I've been written up 17 times. I'm not sure if that's a record or not, but all of those issues of mowing the yard and picking up trash, I've done all that. I've complied and showed up to this hearing every time. Now, if you know of any other person who has been through what I've been through, then I'd like to know their name so I can talk to them, but I'm pretty sure there's not one. "17 times in less than a year."
It's like 16 too many times.
Yeah.
All righty, then I'm ready to make a motion if no one else is ready. I'd like to make a motion to uphold the citation and fine in the amount of $603.92.
Second.
Simpson, Dearbone. Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes,
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you, sir. Case number 2. Case 2017-8841, citation 2017-104-463.3, 1370 Stebbins Street. Owner Joseph Benjamin Harrison, care of Derek Harrison. Respondent Craig Harrison. Brad, it's your case.
Again, the summary is much like the other one. This case has been before the board multiple times. Just to clarify, the dates of prior citations on both of these properties were December 11th and January 24th. Those are the two prior citations prior to the one that was issued in April that we're here for on the appeal today. Again, the property was brought before the board. Mr. Harrison and I met on the 22nd. The list of 3 items that we had agreed upon for this property are as follows. Hardware to be installed on the front and back doors, including doorknobs and deadbolts, as the back door remains unsecured and there's no hardware on the front door. The side window facing 14th replaced and or a new window installed, which Mr. Harrison said he had inside the house. And wood around all 5 of the windows painted. Again, I re-inspected the property on the 23rd after speaking with Mr. Harrison on the 16th. Property remained in violation and none of the agreed upon items had been completed. So a citation was issued, posted on the property and sent by first class and certified mail with a compliance re-inspection date of the 4th of May, which has since been postponed due to the appeal. The pictures, as you see, the property remains in violation and pretty much in the same status as it has since we've been going over these properties. It does look like there was some paint scraped off around the windows and columns. The window is still not replaced there. There was a large accumulation of trash at the curb for an extended period of time, which I attempted to have Scott Waste pick up and was told that there were no utilities turned on at the house. However, that has since disappeared, as you'll see in following pictures. And there's the back door and items in the backyard. As of today, the case is at 192 days. It remains in violation. As Mr. Harrison alluded to earlier, the property is reportedly under contract as of this past weekend. These are the pictures from today. Again, there's no hardware on the front door, no significant changes to the property whatsoever.
Question, the fact that the house is on contract has nothing to do with the fact that he did not do anything he said he would do since the last meeting?
I would certainly agree with that. In fact, you know, when the citation was issued or during our first meeting, we had no way of seeing the future and knowing that it would be under contract this past weekend. So when the citation was issued, I would contend that the property was in violation as I had stated on the citation.
Harrison? Let's swear you again, please. Swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Door in yesterday, but it was sold.
Get to the microphone.
Oh, I could have put the door in yesterday, but it was sold. Well, we've
It's
signed the
sold?
papers.
Have you got the money?
We've signed the papers.
Okay.
They just haven't closed.
All right. What kind of contract is it? Is it a cash deal? Is it painting finance?
Well, no, it's a realtor.
Do what now?
It's a realtor who's buying it, who owns the house two
That's
houses over.
That's not answering my question. Is it a cash deal or is it a financing deal?
I think he has the cash, and the real estate agent said he was going to secure more financing with his bank because he didn't want to spend his cash. He was going to spend.
It's pending financing then.
Well, I guess so, yeah, but I don't see that he's going to have a problem since he owns the house two houses over. He just didn't want to spend his cash.
Are there any contingencies to the contract?
No,
And-
except for sign at noon on Saturday. We
Do
had
what-
to,
do
we had
what?
to sign by noon Saturday,
This coming Saturday or last Saturday?
last Saturday. We've already
Aware
signed.
that there are some problems with.
Yeah, he owns the
code
house two
enforcement.
houses over. He owns the house two houses
So
over.
is he aware that that this house is not in compliance and there will be some,
Yeah, he'll fix it and rent it. It's his plan. He wanted the house in between too, but the guy in between wasn't willing to sell, so he wanted all three of them. He's a Coldwell banker, realtor. Coomer, I think.
Anything else?
No.
Board? So you're going to be getting some cash, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I really don't want to pay fines with it.
I understand that.
Okay.
since you already had the door purchased and the window and what have you, and
This house has had multiple offers. He made an offer soon as we put it on, and he wanted the house in between, and he decided there was contingent. He made the offer, we accepted, and it was contingent on him getting the house in between, and the guy in between didn't want to sell, so that offer fell off, but we had another offer after that, and we pushed him up. He was 15. We pushed him up to 17. He never did fall out. Still hasn't fallen out yet. But Coomer called back and said he would take it for 20. So
the question was, since you already had purchased the door and the window and what have you, why didn't you go ahead and,
we had an immediate offer as soon as we put that one on.
but still, I mean, you're selling the property, but
Well, the door's inside. He can have the door if he wants it. There's lumber inside too to fix the molding
you
around the windows.
understood you had this deadline.
Well, I thought it was going to sell then, and then he backed out because he couldn't get the house in the middle.
I think the issue for me is that on the 22nd of March, that you guys had a meeting with code enforcement to do these things. And it's to my understanding that you agreed to do that without exception.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to district court anyway. I'm going to file an appeal to y'all's decision, so you can go ahead and uphold the decision. I have a pending case already, and we'll just let a judge decide whether I should be fined again or not. I mean, I've been here. I guess I'll be here again. I mean, you can only, I don't know of anybody else who's done what I've done. Anybody.
Well, I'm going
To me, it's borderline harassment, but, you know.
I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to make a motion that we uphold the citation and fine of $603.92.
Second.
Dearbone, Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder,
Yes. Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks.
All righty. Case number 3. Case number 2017-5062, location 202 Double Springs Road. Owner, J.A. Gibson. And Brad, you have this case.
This case is the result of a citizen complaint from May 25th of 2017. During this inspection, Tim Butts, who was the officer that was assigned to this case, noted the following violations. Lack of or inadequate protective treatment, unsafe problem structure, damaged building as a result of a fire in 2015, and additional characteristics on an unsafe problem structure, including multiple broken and boarded windows and no utilities. Notice of violation was sent to the PVA listed owner and address on June 6th of last year with a compliance reinspection of July 6th. Pictures you see on your screen are of the property at that time. This is the rear of the property where the windows are all boarded as well as the door, and the front of the property has broken windows and evident fire damage. According to case notes, Code Enforcement Officer Butts had contact with the property owner by both phone and email around the time of the notice of violation. During the phone call, the property owner explained that they only come to town once a month to work on the property and would have the exterior finished by the end of June of 2017. One of the emails stated, in short, "Thanks for your phone call yesterday. I promise that the windows will be installed on 202 Double Springs Road by the end of June." On July 6th, the property owner came into the Neighborhood and Community Services offices to apply for a building permit. During that time, the owner stated that the windows had not yet come in. On the 9th of August, the property owner called Officer Butts and explained that they would be in town by the 11th of September to pick up the building permit, and work would begin the following week. Officer Butts explained that he would extend the case another 2 weeks, but a citation would be issued if there was no compliance at that time. On the 24th of August, Officer Butts issued a citation, which was posted on the property and sent by first class and certified mail to the PVA listed owner and address with the compliance date of the 4th of September. Pictures you see here from when the first citation was issued. As you can see, there's broken windows in the front door and the evident fire damage there. Again, no utilities at the property. The meter was pulled and broken and boarded windows. There's several broken windows on the side of the building and evident fire damage to the rear of the building. Most of the exterior of the structure is characterized by peeling, flaking, and chipping paint. On the 8th of September, Officer Butts issued a second citation, which was posted on the property and sent by first class and certified mail to the PVA listed owner and address with a compliance date of the 19th of September, as there had been no progress to the property and no communication from the owner. These pictures are from when the second citation was issued. As you see, there was no change in that time frame since the first citation. And on the 22nd of September, Officer Butts issued a citation which was posted on the property and sent by first class and certified mail with a compliance date of the 3rd of October. And again, these pictures are from that citation. As of today, the property remains in violation. The case has been open for 361 days. Property remains classified as a dangerous building. The dwelling continues to be vacant and is unsecured to entry in the elements, and the building remains a blight on the surrounding area. As you see from the front of the property here, there are still boarded and broken windows. There's been no improvement whatsoever to the door or any of the windows. You can see the evident fire damage and smoke damage on the front and rear of the building. That's all I've got.
This was all as a result of a fire?
The fire occurred in 2015. My understanding is that there was a case at that time that then evolved into this citizen complaint when the structure had been in that state for 2 years, I guess, at that point. So this new case was opened, which now has been open 361 days as a citizen complaint based off of the damage from that original fire. So the building, to my understanding, has been in this state or maybe with some slight improvement with the boarding up since 2015 when the fire was.
Gibson? Raise your right hand and state your name, please.
Japam S. Askew Robinson, or Gibson.
Swear to tell the truth, no but truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You've got the microphone, ma'am.
Oh, yes, this was a result of a fire from a tenant. Can you hear me? Okay. And actually, the work that had been done, actually I have my contractor here with me, Tyrese Allen, with me. And the work has been done as far as up to, there was a lot of vegetation and there were some structures that were hanging off the back, some structures that were hanging on the top. There have been some improvements, but then there were some delays in the windows in, I believe it was July of 2017. And so he's here now to tell you all exactly what the timeline is on actually getting it repaired. We just need the windows and the doors on the outside.
How you
Just
gentlemen
a
doing?
moment. State your name, please.
Tyrese Allen?
You swear to tell the truth, no but truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Okay, and who are you again?
I'm a contractor. I do work. I'm from Paducah, Kentucky. And
What's your name of your company?
T. Allen Home Improvement.
Seattle?
T.
Okay, are you licensed in Bowling Green?
No, in Paducah. I do work, and I'm a contractor in Paducah, Kentucky. But whatever I need to get to do the work here.
Have you done work in Bowling Green already on this property? Have you done work on this property already?
No. I've had the electrician, the house has been completely gutted out. She contracted me to continue the work that wasn't done. So we had the house completely gutted out, and it's all been wired. That inspection has been passed on rough inspection for all the wiring being done. When she got the citations of the work that needs to be done on the exterior, I got in touch with the guy that was doing all the windows. So what we did was go over everything. All the window sizes were wrong. So we had to get all those done. And so now that I'm able to do the work, I asked her if she could give me at least 60 days to have the exterior completed according to all the work that she showed me on the citations. They were specifically wanting the exteriors done. The interior is completely spotless on the inside. It's all roughed, all studded out. Everything's all ready to
Okay, let me interrupt you. We're kind of getting off the subject
Okay.
at the moment. Council, I'm not sure how out-of-city contractor can do all this stuff, not that it doesn't need to be done, all that type of stuff, but I'm not sure it's part of our
He
hearing
needs,
right
he
now.
needs to make sure he's got the right occupational license to be what I interpret to be basically a general on this job. I'm assuming they got the permit for the rough end for the electrical because those people, those subs were properly license in the city. So he needs to
Oh,
make sure.
he wasn't. He was from Paducah also. He came here to get whatever he needed to get the
Sure.
license
Exactly.
to do the work as well.
That's the point I'm making. He secured the proper occupational license. This gentleman probably needs to do the same thing.
I think we can dispense with my interruption, but we need to make sure we get that done, all right?
Yes, sir.
Whatever.
That's not
All
a
right.
problem.
All right, so now we need you back over there. All right.
Mr. Simpson, if I may also, is on that same note, is they need to make sure that they secure a building permit through our division or our department in order to start all of that. As part of that process, they will determine if the contractor is licensed or not and then require that he get a license. Additionally, there's $1,139.43 in outstanding fees and fines from code enforcement action that would have to be paid before the building permit was issued as well. So no work could commence until both of those things were handled.
Just got we just went and tried to, we just went and applied for that building permit this afternoon.
Are you aware that there's a fines in excess of $1,000 pending?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Well, it looks like we got things moving in the right direction.
Yes, they did send that, and I've got that.
All right. How long do you anticipate that if everything works out, it would take to get this house back in order?
Exterior,
Everything. I guess.
everything, within 6 months. Okay, I don't live here, so it will be contracted. Majority of the work will probably be contracted by people that live here in Bowling Green.
My main objective is to get that outside taken care of, so that then, because what I'd like to do is, I raised my 3 girls here, sorry, and that was the house that I raised them in. In fact, I turned down a job because Bowling Green was averaging 3 murders per year, and I knew it was a safe place for my children. So I raised the girls there, and the house means a lot to us. So if I can get the outside of the house to wherein it is presentable, and then take my time on the inside to get the inside done, because I'd like to put it very nicely. The way that it was, there was some not cheap material in there. There was wood paneling and things. I'd like to get it really nice on the inside, but if I could get it on the outside very, very nice, where it looks like as if there's no problems. Because like I said, we took all the vegetation down so that it would not look like as if it was, not cared for. And we keep the grass cut. We pay to have the grass cut every 3 weeks, excuse me. So if the board would allow us to give you a time estimate on the outside, and then that way, it would be presentable for the community, that would be great.
Well, we've already got almost a year, and you talk about another 6 months.
Well, I think he was saying for both the inside and the outside, so that's why I was saying, because I don't think that that's acceptable, 6 months for the outside. If the board could give us some sort of estimate on the outside.
All right, thank you. I apologize to the board and everybody else for taking the microphone. I didn't mean to do that. Please speak up, board members.
If they get the outside, I mean, is that your main concerns? Our main concern is the facade at this point.
At this point, yes. For this current case, correct. And then certainly we could walk through the property with them after the fact to make sure everything was up to code, but that would certainly be part of the overall building permit process as well, as before they get a certificate of occupancy and they get a meter restored for electricity by BGMU, they'd have to have a CO through the building division. So, I mean, it'll be walked through by building inspectors to make sure it's tenable on the inside. Our concern is the outside.
When were these pictures taken?
Well, I can show you the pictures from today that I have here at the end of the slideshow, but I mean, it's not a whole lot different than the ones at the beginning. The building hasn't changed a whole lot. Bear with me here a second.
Change.
No, not that I mean, again, this is mostly Tim's case from last year, but in the 5 months I've been on that side of town, no, I have not seen any change. The only change there is that there used to be a large construction dumpster in front of the property in the driveway, and that's since been removed. That we were hopeful that was, a good sign, but unfortunately that has also since been removed. And if I may, I don't know if this helps your decision process or not, but staff was bringing this to the board's attention for recommendation for a per-day fine. With, I guess, the very essence of a per-day fine is to gain compliance and get the attention of the property owner, which I think we've done because the property owner is here, which is the first contact we've had in some time with the property owner. So it's a good first step, as you say. Just understand that by recommending or approving a per-day fine does not necessarily mean that goes into effect immediately. Once you approve a per-day fine, it's simply giving us the authority to do that. However, now that the property owner is here, if the property owner and I are working and there's progress, over a certain reasonable amount of time, then I would just simply not issue that per-day fine citation. And if at some point, or if in a month from now still nothing has been done, we don't have to bring it back before the board. We've already had your authorization to issue that per-day fine, and at that point, I could go ahead and issue the fine, and the property owner could appeal it if she believes that was unfair at that time. And that way, it doesn't have to come back before the board.
That sounds reasonable.
Do you think within 60 days you could get the outside of the house looking nice and
Sir. Yes, sir.
so
Without a
there
doubt.
wouldn't be complaints from her neighbors, and she's obviously very concerned about the impact of her neighbors, and she doesn't want to keep them upset much longer. So is 60 days sufficient for the outside?
Sir, the windows has been ordered already. The roof has been ordered already. The shingles and all that. We're going to tear off the old shingles, put new roofing on, new fascia, new soffit, new windows, and entry doors. The exterior is brick all the way around, so we're going to acid washed and power washed down.
So my recommendation would be that if the board were to approve the authorization for that per-day fine, then I would kind of trade contact information tonight with these folks, and if there was no progress in, let's say, 2 weeks, try to get some sort of update, but kind of go 2 weeks at a time, and as long as things are progressing, 60 days overall is fine, but, we've got to see some sort of progress.
Sure.
2
Absolutely.
weeks, 4
Yeah.
weeks, 6 weeks out, so again, that would be reasonable on my end.
I make a motion that we approve the number one recommendation of the code enforcement staff, implement a per-day fine in the amount of $100 to run for a period of 60 days.
Second.
Read that motion again, please.
I make a motion to implement a per-day fine in the amount of $100 to run for a period of 60 days.
Maybe the wording could be changed. I authorize instead of implement.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
board authorizes a per-day fine at the discretion of staff to run for a period of 60 days at $100 a day. And that way it's not actually implementing it again, because we have to write a citation on our end. Once the board were to approve that per-day fine, Tabitha sends out a letter, the following day, letting the property owner know that they have 10 days before we can even write that citation by law. So they have 10 days to bring the property into compliance after that's approved. And again, my plan would be to work with them. We would just have the ability, again, instead of letting it sit like this another few months, that if nothing is done a month or, a reasonable amount of time from now, that we then have that authority to issue that citation.
How long does it take to get your building permit?
It depends. It can take 5 days. It can take 30 days. With some of the licensing issues and the finance issues, now this gentleman could certainly go over to the annex tomorrow, apply for a license, and as long as everything checks out, have a license in a day or so. I don't believe that would be an untimely event. And you know, if the property owner is stating that they can pay those fines with finance as well in the annex, I mean, both of those can be taken care of in a day. So as long as Public Works and Planning and Zoning and everybody else, I mean, I'm sure everyone would agree that this needs to be done. And it's not adding on to a structure. It's not building a new structure. It's simply renovating due to fire damage. I don't foresee it taking extremely long.
Mr. Wilder, if you might, I think I would ask you whether you wish to amend that motion. And for the motion to state that the motion would be to authorize staff at their discretion to issue a 100 per day fine for up to 60 days. We would need a second for that.
Let me back up. Do we need to show a type of improvement or just your staff's discretion? I don't have a problem with that, I really don't, but I think they need to be more clear because you probably need to pin something down.
Sure, and I will. I'll give them both my card and encourage them to contact me within the next couple days. But generally, with any sort of large structural case that we work on a daily basis, I kind of go at 2-week periods. So, you know, if I can look in the system, if I say, okay, well, the building permit hasn't been issued or whatever in 2 weeks, you know, that's understandable. But then once that's issued, if, you know, we can start getting some progress every 2 weeks, every 14 days, I think that's reasonable. But I think if we get 30 or 45 days out and the building permit's been issued, the license has been issued, and nothing's happened, that's what I would consider unreasonable. Even if we've been talking and, you know, yes, we're working on it, I think we need to show some sort of concrete progress by that point if everything outside of their control has already been issued, basically.
To follow up, if I may, on Brad's point there, if that were to be issued, they would have, the property owner would have appeal rights from that, just as they do today, you know, for any other citation. And the issue then would be whether you ratified the staff's implementation of that discretion or not. So ultimately, you'd be put in a position to decide whether that discretion was reasonably employed or not.
Do you understand that?
I think I do. I think what he's saying is that you're going to authorize a $100 a day fine, wherein the work has to be completed within 60 days, and 60 days, and then the windows and the doors and the soffit and the fascia and whatever else those technical terms are have to be completed. But then to definitely see some sort of improvement, let's say, for instance, everything starts from the building permit, the time in which the building permit has been given or authorized or issued. And it can take either 5 days or 30 days for the building permit, depending upon.
I wouldn't start that clock ticking until everything out of your control has been implemented again. So
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that if your contractor doesn't get his license in a timely manner and that's why the permit isn't issued, then I still think
That's
that's
our
something in your
problem.
control. Sure. But again, you know, it doesn't sound like that's going to be the problem. So if it takes 30 days for the building permit to get issued, that's certainly not counted against you. But if they
Okay.
issue that permit on Friday of this
Right.
week, then I think, you know, within 2 weeks from that Friday, we need to see at least a front door and a couple windows or something.
Something.
And understand that when you say 60 days,
Yes.
you know, it doesn't, if we're working on it and every couple weeks there's progress, if it takes 85 days, that's fine as long as we're on the right track. It doesn't necessarily have to be 60 days. We just, every 2 weeks I'll check in with you, check
Okay.
in with the property and ensure that there's compliance or we're on the right track for it. And if it's done in 30 days, great, I'll close my case and no per day fine and we're done.
Okay.
This
Okay.
gives them, we're working with you. The staff is working with you.
appreciate it.
All right. If that's understood, I'll second the motion. That's been clarified.
Wilder, Simpson, Deere,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Way we like to do business. right? We have no information dealing with repeat offenders, or any other discussion or items of interest. Thank you, sir, for coming today. Appreciate it. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Dearbone, Wilder. Deer,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Wilder.
Yes.
Declare this meeting adjourned.